1573, one of the most feared warlords in Japan died from a sniper's bullet. And nobody outside his inner circle found out for 3 years. The man sitting on his throne, giving orders, nodding at envoys, wasn't him at all. His name was Takeda Shingen, Lord of Kai Province. And at the time of his death, he was probably the single greatest threat to Oda Nobunaga's dream of unifying Japan. Letting that secret out would have collapsed his clan overnight. So his generals did something that sounds insane on paper. They found a man who looked like him, dressed him in Shingen's armor, and ran the Takeda clan through a stand-in for 3 full years. To understand why this worked, you have to understand Shingen's reputation. His battle banner read, "Swift as wind, silent as forest, fierce as fire, immovable as mountain." And people believed it literally. He'd spent 20 years grinding through central Japan, beating bigger armies with brutal cavalry charges. By 1572, he was marching west, and Tokugawa Ieyasu had just been humiliated by him at the Battle of Mikitagahara. Then in the spring of 1573, while besieging a small castle called Noda, something happened that the Takeda would spend years trying to bury. A bullet found Shingen in the dark. The accepted story is that a sharpshooter inside Noda Castle heard a flute playing from the Takeda camp every night. He aimed at the sound. The man listening to that flute was Shingen. He didn't die instantly. He lingered for weeks, and as he faded, he gave his brother Nobukado one specific order. "Hide my death for 3 years. Keep the clan strong, then bury me in Lake Suwa." The Takeda already had a candidate ready because Shingen had been quietly preparing for this for years. The double was his younger brother Takeda Nobukado, who happened to look uncannily like him. Nobukado had reportedly been standing in for Shingen at minor functions for over a decade, mostly to dodge assassins. The Japanese had a word for this role, kagemusha, literally shadow warrior. After Shingen's death, Nobukado stopped being an occasional decoy. He became Shingen full-time. He sat in his brother's seat, signed his brother's orders, and spoke with his brother's voice in council. For 3 years, envoys from Nobunaga, from the Hojo, from Wasugi Kenshin himself, all left Kai believing they'd just spoken with a living warlord. Some of them had known Shingen personally for decades. Becoming a kagemusha wasn't a costume change. The training was relentless, and it started years before anyone needed you. You learned the Lord's walk, his cough, the way he held chopsticks, the tilt of his head when he was annoyed. You memorized which retainers he liked and which he barely tolerated. You learned the names of his concubines, his horses, his favorite tea bowls. Get any of it wrong in front of the wrong person, and the secret was over. Most kagemusha weren't noble brothers like Nobukado. They were condemned criminals pulled out of prison, or distant cousins with a passing resemblance, offered their lives in exchange for becoming a ghost. Once chosen, the old life ended. Your family was told you were dead. You were moved into the Lord's quarters, taught by his personal attendants, and forbidden from ever speaking your real name again. The Takeda deception almost worked perfectly. Almost. The cracks showed up in small places, like horses refusing the rider, or a falcon that wouldn't return to a hand it didn't recognize. Shingen's son Katsuyori reportedly hated the arrangement. He was supposed to be the heir, and instead he was watching his uncle wear his father's armor and sign letters in his father's name. In 1575, 2 years into the masquerade, Katsuyori couldn't take it anymore. He led the Takeda army to Nagashino against Nobunaga and Ieyasu, and got it annihilated by 3,000 matchlock guns behind wooden palisades. After the events of Nagashino, the secret couldn't hold. Too many veteran commanders were dead. In 1576, the Takeda finally held the real funeral for Shingen, 3 years after he'd actually died. Shingen's case is the best documented, but kagemusha show up all over Japanese history, and the higher you climb, the weirder the rumors get. Even emperors weren't immune. Take Emperor Go-Daigo in the 14th century. When the Kamakura shogunate came to arrest him in 1331, he reportedly slipped out of Kyoto disguised as a woman, and left a courtier sitting on the throne in his robes. The shogunate's soldiers stormed the palace and arrested the wrong man. Go-Daigo made it to Mount Kasagi and kept his rebellion alive. The double was executed in his place. There are also persistent rumors that certain shoguns were quietly swapped out when they went mad or died inconveniently. Tokugawa Iemitsu, Ashikaga Yoshiteru, Historians still argue over which public appearances were really them. This practice had deep psychological effects to the doubles themselves. Surviving accounts describe men who'd been kagemusha for years struggling to remember their own names when the role ended. Some refused to go back. They kept wearing the Lord's clothes, kept signing his name, kept giving orders to servants who pitied them. The performance had eaten the performer. Others were quietly killed once the deception ended, because a living double was a living witness. A condemned criminal pulled from prison didn't get a retirement. He got a short sword and a quiet room. Nobukado himself outlived the Takeda clan he'd impersonated. After Nagashino and the final Oda invasion in 1582, he was captured and beheaded. Still, by some accounts, dressed in his brother's armor. Shingen was finally buried properly at Erenji Temple in Kai. The lake grave he'd asked for never happened. And for 3 years, the most feared warlord in Japan had ruled from beyond it. Through a man wearing his face.